Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Coffee with Katie. I have this mug that I bought off secondhand from an Illumicrate box, but it's a Murderbot Diaries mug. It says Sanctuary Moon, and there's Murderbot. And some sort of war going on, but I love Murderbot. So today's video is going to be my November reading wrap up. You know how this goes. We're going to be talking about all of the books that I read in November and giving you my thoughts on them. And if you hear any weird crinkling sounds, it's because I gave my dog a puzzle toy. So the first book that I was able to read in November was from my shelf challenge of my sprayed edges, and that was A Shadow in the Glass by J.J.A. Harwood. This is a dark Cinderella retelling where she stumbles upon a library and she stumbles upon this book, and there is this demon, basically, that she makes a deal with because she thinks it is a dream that grants her 7 wishes. I believe it's 7 wishes, and only if she uses all 7 wishes does she lose her soul, but she can make, 6 wishes and still have her soul intact. And she's in a really horrible environment where she's trying to escape an abusive, she's like a lady's maid kind of, but she was in high society, but they never educated her or did what they were supposed to do as her caretaker. And she's in a kind of rough position. The lord of this manor, his wife died, and he's kind of gone off the rails, and he's starting to get his eyes on her in not a great way, and she's desperate to escape this situation. So she turns to these wishes to try to escape, and things go from there. This is a very dark retelling. It is not very happy. It's very sinister. It was an interesting concept and I did like it, but overall I just felt like the book was kind of okay. This book was fine. I ended up giving it 3 stars. And I did like that the consequences of the wishes weren't what you thought they would be. And like I said, the idea behind the whole concept was very interesting. I feel so weird continuing when he's on my lap. And so the idea behind this book was interesting. I feel like the execution of it, however, was just okay. I do think it was a little bit of an unsatisfying ending. When you get to the ending, you're just kind of what? What does that mean? How? Why? Where? It was just kind of unsatisfying to me. Maybe some people really liked it. I liked the beginning. I thought the beginning was really interesting, but as the book went on and towards the end of the book, I was really starting to lose interest in it. But I will read her other book, The Thorns Remain, I think is what it's called. I will read that one because I'm still curious about her writing and her stories, and I think that one maybe I will like more, but I didn't hate this. It wasn't what I was expecting, but it was a dark retelling. The next book that I finished in November is Two Twisted Crowns by Rachel Gillig. I loved One Dark Window, and this was the second book in this duology, so this wrapped up the series and the story. And I absolutely loved Two Twisted Crowns as well. I loved this book possibly more than One Dark Window. It was so good, and I was so glad I got to start it early thanks to NetGalley. I did get the digital edition, which is probably the only digital edition that I tried to actually read. I struggle doing that with any sort of ebook. I never read ebooks, and I made myself start it because I was so excited to have this a little bit early. And I did finish it later on. But after the cliffhanger of the first book, One Dark Window, it really pushes the story forward. And there's a lot of tragedy in this book. I feel like the first one was a lot of build-up and a lot of things that were happening. It ends on a cliffhanger and a lot of drama. And then for this one, it's okay, the stakes are high and now we're trying to resolve this. And so they're thrust into the adventure, the dynamics, the scary stuff, the nightmare, it's just so many things. There's a lot of tragedy in this book, I think. And you get a lot more of the nightmare and the action in this one, which I really liked a lot. And you also get that eerie fairy tale feeling. I also really loved getting Elm's point of view in this book. He was a character that I liked. I had nothing against him. I liked him in the first book, but didn't think a lot of it. And then reading his perspective in this book really made me love him. He really becomes a really interesting character, really cool character. You feel for him and you really love him. He's kind of a funny character, but he's also angry because of a lot of abuse he suffered, and getting his perspective and his storyline was really fun. I really, really liked him, and I think most people kind of fell in love with him in this book. And I liked him okay in book 1, like I said, but this one really makes you like him and where his story goes. And you get a lot more of adventure and like quest type situations as they're hunting the other Providence cards, which you know about from the first book. That's the whole point of the first book. And I liked the creepy fairy tale elements. I liked the adventure, the danger that was happening and that they were encountering on their quest, the somewhat mystery elements that you're trying to figure out. And I'm very sad that it's over, but I loved the journey and I can't wait to see what else this author writes. I know she's working on something right now, but she hasn't really announced what it is or when it's coming out, but she has said that she's working on something. I'm very excited. I loved this duology. I highly recommend it. One Dark Window and Two Twisted Crowns, fantastic. Loved the magic system. It was unique. I loved the nightmare characters. The ending, I think, was good and wrapped up pretty well. It was just so good. If you haven't read One Dark Window, give it a shot. It was a good time. I gave it 5 stars, if that wasn't clear. Another book I read, like many of you did, was Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros. This was a little bit of a chonker, not gonna lie. This is book 2 in the Empyrean series, and we all know about Fourth Wing. We all know the hype behind that book, and this is the second book in that series. And we are continuing the story of what is happening with Basgiath War College and the world beyond, because I don't want to really spoil anything because this is the second book in the series. I'm trying not to spoil anything, but I will have to give some details just because what are thoughts about a book if you don't give any details? So I loved that we get more of the world. It's expanded a little bit more in this book. I love that we get more of the flyers and just the different types of magic that you get to encounter with the signets, that they have some new recruits from their first year, even though, because Violet's in their second year now, and we get some recruits for the first year. I love the characters that are introduced. I love more of the dragons that we get. We get to see more of the, like, other people's dragons interacting, stuff happening with Andarna, and we get more of the villains too with all of that stuff going on. And I liked the character redemptions. At first I was very hesitant, especially for one of them. I'm sure you know who that one would be. I was very hesitant for there to be character redemptions. As soon as it was happening and I realized she was writing this character kind of in a different way than the first book, I was like, oh, he's gonna get a redemption. And I was kind of really resistant to that, but the way she did it, I did like. And I do like that he has redeemed himself. I would not have said that had I not read this. I was like, absolutely not. He does not deserve it. No. But I did like it, and I do kind of like him now, which is a testament to her writing and how she was twisting the story. There's another character in here that I never really hated. I thought they had good intentions or good reasons, even though they seemed kind of cold. I kind of already I didn't like them, but I had no bad blood with them. And you kind of see how that plays out also, which I thought was good. There's a lot of like injustice towards the beginning because of, I guess, politics in the War College, and I liked getting to see more of Tyrion and him having so much power over the dragon community and others, that he's just a very powerful dragon. You can't tell him what to do. A little bit, there were some heartbreaking moments where you lose people die, you're in battles a lot, so obviously that happens, or you're in training and things like that happen. I was not a fan at all of the twist where one character comes back. I hated that. I don't like that trope. I think she did it okay. I just am really not a big fan of that trope, so I was kind of mad that that happened, but I guess I understand where they're going with it. Which leads me to my next point. Where can I send the author, Rebecca Yarros, my therapy bill for that ending? Why must you put me through such pain to not even announce when book 3 is coming? If you're gonna put somebody through that much pain, you have to tell us when book 3 is coming. And no, you did not. So I was very upset. It took me like a day or two to kind of recuperate and read something else. If there is no fixing this, I will never forgive you. Ever. Doesn't matter how nice you were when I met you at Imaginary Book Festival. If there's not a resolution to this sucker at the end of this book, dead to me. So, if you liked Fourth Wing a lot and you haven't read this yet, just prepare for pain. Maybe don't read it. Maybe wait until book 3 comes out. Maybe that's best for you if you can hold out. I don't know, because I haven't read book 3, and maybe she'll do something even more painful. Who knows? Not I, but it was a great time. It was a painful time. 5 stars. The next one that I read that I had been planning on reading for a very long time, it just took me a while to get to it, and I got to it because it was on my 23 for 2023 challenge, was the Last Hours series. This is book 1, Chain of Gold by Cassandra Clare. This is in the Shadowhunter universe. This is the first book in the Last Hours series, like I said, which is set in the same time period as the Infernal Devices, but it is following those characters' children. I did like this. I would say thus far, after the Infernal Devices, this has been my favorite series, second favorite series so far of the Shadowhunter universe. I have really liked it. I went through it pretty quickly. It's pretty easy to read. It's pretty entertaining. There's a lot of like drama and frustrations with things that happen in the story, but I think you can expect that of Cassandra Clare at this point. She's gonna make it dramatic and she's gonna make it difficult. But I did enjoy this quite a lot. It's not the same as the Infernal Devices. It's not like a carbon copy of everything. But like I said, I do like it a lot more than the Mortal Instruments and the Dark Artifices series. I do like being back in the 1900s England setting. And the parts that we get of Will and Tessa are really cute and fun. And I'm enjoying a lot of the characters so far. I would say most of the characters I am really enjoying, except Grace. She can go kick rocks for all I care. What a nasty human she is. I really like all the other characters. They're really fun and just have their own personalities, endearing qualities, vices, all those good things. I do really like it. I like that we're seeing Cortana, the sword, in this because Cordelia, the main character, or one of the main characters in this book, she's from the Carstairs line, so she has the sword Cortana, which you see in the Dark Artifices. So that's kind of fun. I like the ties and the links and all that. So I did really like this. I gave it 4 stars, and we'll be happy to continue the series and see what happens. And the final book I was able to read in November, which was also part of my 23 books in 2023 challenge, was The Stardust Thief by Chelsea Abdullah. This was a Fairy Loot book I got in a box, but it's book 1 in the Sandsea trilogy, and I'd heard pretty good things about it, but not a whole lot of thoughts, like just kind of meanderings and passing by, and would hear stuff that was positive, but not a whole lot. I liked this. The story kind of took a second to get going for me and to hook me. It was all just building the world and building the characters, which is necessary. Sometimes I can get a little bit like, okay, but where's this going? And I like more fast-paced stuff, but I'm not saying she did it poorly. It just took me a little bit to see where the story was trying to build and go, and I did really enjoy it, but just took me a second to get really, really hooked. Kadir was my favorite character. I absolutely loved him. He is a djinn, and he is tied like to the main character. Not like he has to serve her, but they just kind of have developed this friendship, rapport, partnership. And I really, really liked him. He was a really interesting character. You're not following his perspective, but you get to see him through her eyes. And that was just really interesting. But all of the characters, I would say, were interesting. And they all were very varied. You're following 3 different perspectives from 3 very different people. And they were all good. I didn't dislike any of the perspectives. At first, they have like a cowardly prince is how he's described in the summary. I was not a biggest fan of him and following him. But the more the story goes on, the more you like all of the characters, even if you don't agree with all of the characters. I thought they were written very well. I think it's like a quest journey. It's a retelling of 1001 Nights. So they're going to find the magical lamp for the Sultan, and for different purposes and reasons and secrets. And the characters are very dynamic. I feel like you're following a character that I'm like, why would we ever like her? But you like following her perspective. And then the main character, you enjoy following her perspective, and she's got some moral good. The cowardly prince, as it was put in the summary, you don't dislike him. Like he's not as cowardly as he is painted to be in the summary or in the beginning of the book. He's not as bad as the description originally sounds, and you begin to really like him as well. All the characters were done really well, and you like all of them. You're enjoying the story. They're traversing the desert, getting caught in sandstorms, encountering ghouls, encountering all of these djinn and mythical creatures and efforts, and it was a really fun adventure story. There is tragedy. There was some stuff that was really upsetting because things happen to characters you don't want to happen to them, but it was really good, and I am looking forward to book 2, which I believe comes out next year. So this was a pleasant surprise for me. I thought I would like it, but I think I enjoyed it more than I thought I was going to originally. And I did give this 4 stars. Well, that was the last book that I read in November or was able to finish in November. I did not get to Swordcatcher. I did start it and will eventually finish it, but we are headfirst diving into my December TBR at the moment. So those are all the books that I was able to finish. Please comment down below and let me know a book that you would like me to read soon, and I will try to get to it, or what your favorite read was from November. But as for now, that is it for today's video. Please like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you want to. I will see you next time. Stay safe and caffeinated. Bye.